Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's National Haiku Poetry Day, Tone. You got some haiku for us?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. The Bulls once were hot until the heat brought a chill. Now, Wilbon shudders. How's that? That's a haiku.
It?
575.
That's what it is?
That's it. That's what it is.
That's why when
yes.
I was introduced to it in creative writing in college, I said, get this crap out of here.
Yeah, it's junk. It's hocus pocus junk.
Yeah.
I know. It's not real poetry. Limericks. Limericks are real poetry. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Bulls lose. Ashton Genty writes a letter to GMs, and the Canadiens make the playoffs. But we begin today with the Dallas Mavericks, salvaging some small victory in their otherwise bleak season by beating Sacramento in a play-in game last night. Dallas will now play at Memphis, with the winner becoming the 8th seed in the real playoffs. Wilbon, what does this do for the Mavericks and Nico Harrison? And where does it leave the Kings, who changed coaches and traded away a star this season?
Tony, I don't know what it does for Dallas other than it gives them, you referred to this in your lead just now, it's just a moment. But they, more than any franchise in the NBA, need a moment. They have just been pounced on since the day of the trade, sending Luka to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis. Mm-hmm. They have just had it heaped on them day after day, hour after hour, locally, regionally, nationally, inside the industry, on late night talk shows. I mean, they've just been crushed. So to actually win this game and to win it convincingly, I found myself being happy for the moment for Dallas. And then Sacramento, it's a big step back. Sacramento, 2 years, it was exciting to watch them light the beam, and the purple beam that was lit in Sacramento when they won a game. It was a really fun story that was uplifting and encouraging. And now they lost a guy who was their franchise player. They fired a popular coach. They got isolation basketball, which is kind of worthless. And they've taken a big step back, a big one.
Yeah. So I don't really know what this does for Dallas unless they beat Memphis and then win a real series in the playoffs, which they are unlikely to do because it's going to be Oklahoma City if they get in, right? And I don't know what it does for Nico Harrison, except maybe extend the day on which he's going to get fired, because he made, you say they got crushed. They got crushed legitimately. He made the worst trade of all time. He did things you're not supposed to do. He traded young for old, and he traded great for very, very good, but always hurt. To me, Mike, Dallas has to make the NBA Finals for this guy to keep his job in the next 2 years. Not this year, but in the next 2 years. Okay. In terms of Sacramento, they're in the sort of flux that I guess Dallas is in as well. They fired Mike Brown in December after giving him an extension in July. They traded De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio for no apparent reason to me. I have no idea why they did it. Last night after the game, they fired their GM. They have no rudder.
Yeah.
At the moment, they have no GM. At the moment, their coach, Doug Christie, is still interim. So they're a mess. I think both of these teams are messy at the moment. I do.
Tony, Sacramento is in a much bigger mess because they don't have the kind of hope. At least if you get Kyrie Irving back, and I see there are reports out there talking about January, we have no idea. But if you get Kyrie Irving back, re-signed and whole and playing with Anthony Davis and Lively and some of the other guys, PJ Washington, you got a team. You said yourself in the short term Dallas could be something. Sacramento's
in the
nothing
short term
right now. Nothing.
Right. In the short term, I mean, Dallas is going to run out of time after next year. Like, that's what they've got. This year, next year. That's what they've got.
Yeah, light the beam. Light that beam. Last night's early game was tough for me. The Heat stomped the Bulls in Chicago. Boos everywhere. Tyler Hero scored 38. Miami never trailed, which is unexpected because the Bulls had won 15 of 20, had swept the Heat 3-0 in their regular season series, and were playing hello again at home. So, Tony, you take a stab at what happened last night and explain it to me and the nation.
Okay. Well, the first thing I would point to is that it would be better for Chicago if someone had volunteered to actually guard Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero had 38 points. His high all season was 40, and he just had 38 in what is at least nominally a playoff game to some degree. He was 13 for 19 from the field in the first half, and I watched the first half, and then I stopped because it was a non-competitive game. In the first half, he didn't miss any shots at all. And what he did was continuously take the ball on the ground,
to the middle,
to the rim, and he would score. And nobody, Mike, nobody ever got in his way. Okay, missed no shots in the first half. So Miami has 71 at the half, and they're leading by 24, the most points they have led by all year at the half. So that's how I would explain it. And I would look to Chicago, and you mentioned this. Chicago had swept the season series from Miami 3-0. They never let it home. They didn't even lead 2-0. They end up with 90 points. They're low of the entire season. They shoot 38.9%, which stinks. It's just terrible. So please refrain from telling me about the great young core that we talked about yesterday with Chicago.
I'm going to tell you that I would be handing people pink slips today. Okay? This is the franchise of my entire life. I would fire people today. I don't think Billy Donovan's a good coach. I damn well know Billy Donovan's a good coach. He's got championship rings, and he's a good developer of talent. He's a hell of a coach. I'm throwing people out. I would deactivate their key cards to get in the building, and the GM as well. Patrick Williams is the guy who's supposed to guard sometimes Tyler Hero. He can't guard me, and they paid him $90 million on an extension last year in one of the dumbest extensions in the league currently. The Bulls they no-showed. They didn't play poorly. They were scared. They were terrified. They were in over their heads. That's a failure at the top of the pyramid in addition to the players. If I ran the team, and luckily Jerry and Michael Reinsdorf, who I know and like both of them tremendously, they're a lot nicer person than I am, because I would say, get out. All of you, get out now. Get out.
You know, Mike, I like the play-in format. I like the play-in format. I hope the NHL goes with it. I honestly like it. But 3 of the 4 that we've seen so far are routes, so it becomes a tough sell. Let's turn to the NFL draft. And the letter Boise State running back Ashton Genty wrote to all 32 teams via the Players Tribune. Genty said, "Draft me, you won't be sorry." Here's a direct quote. Quote, "If you pick me, it's simple. I'm coming to your franchise to do what Saquon Barkley and the Eagles just did," unquote. Here's another quote. Quote, "It's tackle football. You know what I'm saying? I'd draft a guy they can't tackle," unquote. No shortage of confidence there. Wilbon, does Genty make a persuasive case to NFL GMs that he can become the next Saquon Barkley?
I don't know about GMs, Tony, but he persuaded me. And I don't need him to be the next Saquon Barkley, because I don't want him to go to a second team, particularly if my team is lucky enough to draft him at 10, if he falls past the Raiders. Saquon Barkley had to do that, and he also had to have a horrific knee injury. So I don't need him to be the next Saquon Barkley. Just be the Ashton Genty that we saw in college, if he can carry that to the next level. And as you know, Tony, once upon a time, the position where performance and talent best translated immediately was running back. For decades, for generations, this happened. So Ashton Genty, to me, again, I'm hoping he falls past the Raiders all the way to my team at 10, because we got pictures of guys in that building in Lake Forest wearing 34 and 40 on their chests of all time. Great running backs. Chicago knows what to do with one. If these other GMs don't know what to do with them, let him pass. Let him go somewhere, because I believe he can play. I believe he's a stud.
So I loved what he wrote, and I want to love the kid. But before we get too carried away, there is something I have to point out, that Saquon Barkley is listed as 6 feet, 233 pounds. And Ashton Genty is listed at 5'8.5" to 11. Now, there have been great short running backs. Barry Sanders is listed at 5'8". Emmitt Smith is listed at 5'9". They're all-time running backs. But would I be concerned at 5'8.5"? I might actually be concerned. Now, he was remarkably durable in college, because I got more numbers here. He carried the ball 374 times last year. It's almost 30 times a game. He averaged 7 yards a carry. Mike, and his yak was 1,900 yards, the most in college. So you can't tackle him. You can't. So I would think he's, the way we led into this, or the way he writes this letter, you think, oh, he's a second or third round choice. He's a first round choice. Mel Kiper says, and you're alluding to this, that the Raiders are going to draft him at 6. So, yeah, I would draft him too, right? He looks like
Tony,
he's great.
Particularly
and he's coming
a creative
around,
offensive play caller, offensive play caller. And if you've got a quarterback and if you've got a line, if you were playing in Detroit for Ben Johnson last year with that line and that quarterback and those receivers, you put him in a lineup?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Give him to me.
We have reached a turn in the era where this year running backs were important. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson.
Yes.
So, I mean, he may have come along at the right time. Let's take a break. Coming up, Jorge Lopez gets ejected after going high and tight to Andrew McCutchen. What's the word for that?
How best to describe the turnaround that got the Canadians into the postseason? You know the Bulls GM, who I would fire, he asked for patience at a press conference today? He asked for patience.
Oh, they all asked for patience.
Oh, it's going to take a while. Give us a while. No!
The guy
there's
with
no
the Wizards
patience for
asked for 5 to 8 years. Said we're going to stink
asking
for
to
5
win a championship.
Years. What?
Just show up for a play-in game.
No.
Show up for that.
No, you should get 2 years. Yeah.
Please.
2 years, 3 years max. Time to showcase our spectacular vernacular, and what's the word? What's first?
It's blank that the Canadiens clinched a playoff berth.
It's sweet. I'm happy that they did that. They beat Carolina 4-2 last night in the last game of the regular season, Mike. They needed 1 point to get in. They got 2. Carolina rested some people. So what? Montreal will now play Washington in the first round of the playoffs. And, of course, I'm going to root for Washington. But I'm happy they're in because, Mike, if they weren't in, 5 of the original 6 teams would be out of the playoffs. The only team that would be in is Toronto. And Toronto has not won a Stanley Cup in almost 60 years. It's sort of quirky that all 4 American original 6 teams aren't there, Chicago and New York and Boston and Detroit. But I think it would be worse if the Canadian teams aren't there. So I'm glad they're in the playoffs, and it is the first time since 2021 for the Canadiens.
And, Tom, because of the second part of what you talked about, it's scene setting. They're going to now go against the greatest goal scorer of all time, and Alexander Ovechkin and your Washington Capitals in the first round of the playoffs. Look, the Capitals have been knocked out early before when they've been the best team in the Eastern Conference. You and I have seen it back when we actually covered a lot more hockey. And so don't look at this as sort of, oh, wait, the Canadians barely snuck in. They have no chance. But they get this chance of theirs against a totally glamorous player. I mean, I guess nobody's going to really argue that Ovechkin's the MVP of the league, but he had the great season. He had the great historic season which saw him move past Wayne Gretzky, and now the Canadians get him. Who better to be involved in anything historic than the Canadiens? So I'm looking forward to seeing this first-round series.
That's what happens. Mike, hockey more than any other sport has upsets in the first round of the playoffs.
They do, all the time.
It's simple.
All the time.
What's next? What's next?
Jorge Lopez's ejection last night was blank.
My word is warranted, and obviously the league felt it was warranted because today they suspended him for 3 games. There's a backstory here. The day before the game we're talking about, the Pirates hit Paul DeJong right in the face, okay? So Jorge Lopez comes in the 7th last night in a 1-0 game. Pittsburgh's leading 1-0. He gives up a couple of singles. He gives up a run. And then he hits Brian Reynolds. He hits him on the first pitch. And then he goes high and tight to Andrew McCutchen and knocks McCutchen down. And maybe it's coincidental, Mike, but I believe that last year when Lopez was on the Cubs, he gave up home runs to both of those guys. So maybe he remembered that. And it looks like there's going to be a fight. And they run Lopez. And they run him justifiably because he was the protagonist in this. Let me just give you his numbers because this is my team. And the bullpen stinks year after year. His ERA is now 10.57. He's pitched 7 innings, I believe, 4 walks and 2 hit batters. He says out loud he's having trouble with his delivery. I think he's having trouble with pitching, and I don't care if I see him again.
The whole thing, his ejection, what he did with batters at the plate, his whole demeanor, stuff he's done in the past, everything about him is nonsense. And yes, the ejection is warranted, but the episode is nonsense. He's about nonsense. You know what it reminds me of, Tony? Reminds me of Nick Kyrgios before Kyrgios picked up a microphone and became the most charming man in the world. This guy doesn't seem on the verge of any explosion of charm. He's just about nonsense, so they should run him and suspend. They did suspend him for 3 games.
Yeah.
Not enough.
3 games.
Good.
They suspended the manager, too, Davey Martinez. They suspended him. I believe he didn't manage today.
Deserved.
I believe that. That's the final word. Let's take one last break. Still to come, the Bucks get good news about Damian Lillard.
I told you it was coming. And an update on the future of the quarterback that Tennessee just cut loose.
Yeah, who's going to pay him? Are we going to learn who's going to pay him? Because somebody's going to pay him.
Of course.
That's college football now. How much money you got, right?
If you're a quarterback and you're any good, you're going to get.
Happy time, people. Happy 24th birthday, Christian Brown. The Nuggets' 6'6" two-guard was the 21st overall pick in the 2022 draft out of Kansas, where he won the NCAA championship his last year there. Brown had 12 points and 12 rebounds in the title game in North Carolina. Brown went to the Nuggets and immediately was on an NBA champion. As a rookie in Denver, Brown scored about 5 points a game with almost 3 rebounds, and statistically that's not much. But in Game 3 of the finals against Miami, Brown had 15 points, and by this season, Brown was a starter in Denver, averaging 15 points and 5 rebounds. Brown shot 58% from the field, almost 40% from 3, so his is a success story so far.
Tony, he's a nice player, but his teammate, Joker, has still never played with an all-NBA caliber player. And that series, though, their first-round playoff series, Denver against the Clippers, that's got some heat to it. You got 2 lead characters who have led teams to championships. Those guys, when healthy, they are something to watch, and Brown ought to feel lucky he's playing alongside Joker.
I thought you told me Jamal Murray was a superstar a year ago.
No, I didn't. Nice try.
Oh, actually, you did. Happy anniversary, Nolan Ryan. On this day 42 years ago, the Hall of Fame right-hander, then pitching for the Astros, struck out Montreal's Andre Dawson to record strikeout number 3,500. His fastball, nicknamed the Ryan Express, was clocked near 100 miles an hour. When Ryan retired, he had 5,714 strikeouts, by far the most of all time. Randy Johnson is second with 4,875. So Johnson would need about 800 more innings to catch Ryan. Following Ryan and Randy Johnson with at least 3,500 strikeouts come Roger Clemens, Steve Carlton, Bert Blyleven, Tom Seaver, Don Sutton, Gaylord Perry, and Walter Johnson. Active pitchers Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are the next 2. They're in the 3,400s.
I know you know who has the most no-hitters of all time. I know you know that. It's Nolan Ryan.
I do.
Who's got the most one-hitters of all time?
I'm betting because you're saying it's going to be Fergie Jenkins. Am I close?
Nolan Ryan.
Oh, he's got
You
them
want to go
too?
for most two-hitters? Most two-hitters of
I
all
want to
time?
say Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, you want to go for
Nolan
most
Ryan on that one.
3 hitters of all time?
Really?
Nolan Ryan.
Really?
How about that?
He's got them all?
Isn't that great?
Wow.
Yeah.
Happy trails to 2 college quarterbacks. Former Tennessee starter Nico Iamaleava, I hope I get that right, is reportedly talking to UCLA after getting dumped by the Vols last week. The redshirt sophomore had missed a Tennessee spring practice, reportedly holding out for an increase in NIL from $2.4 million per year to $4 million a year. It doesn't appear he'd be getting that level of money from UCLA either, but he's from Southern California. And Ryan Brown is reportedly leaving North Carolina just 5 months after transferring there from Purdue to play for Bill Belichick. This comes in the wake of reports that Belichick has turned his eye towards South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez.
Tony, I'm glad these kids are getting paid. I am. Because for so many years, they should have been and weren't. But you know what? They all think they're Joe Montana now, and they're not.
Yes.
They all want $4 million to come in and play for Old State U, and 90% of them aren't worth what they're asking. So that's just where we are. The pendulum has swung.
If he's getting 2.1, that's so much money, and he wants 4. Hello. Let's go to the big finish. Bucks star Damian Lillard has been cleared of deep vein thrombosis. He is off blood thinners. Your thoughts?
Good. He's still going to miss game 1 or scheduled to against the Pacers, but I think when that thing goes back to Milwaukee, I'm hoping to see Dame. I hope this works out for him. Commanders and the District of Columbia are close to a deal for a new stadium inside the city. We both expect that to happen, do we not?
Absolutely. We both covered games at RFK, and we know what a great home field advantage that was. Princeton guard Xavier Lee transferring to national champion Florida. Is that a good fit?
Absolutely. This kid hasn't been seen much because he played in the Ivy League. He can play, replacing Walter Clayton Jr. Justin Thomas, 11 birdies at Harvard Town this morning. 11. Big deal?
It's more than I've had in my whole life. He shot 61. Fabulous.
No,
Last one, Lee Corso will retire from College Game Day after week 1. Your reaction?
Corso and Dick Vitale brought a level of fun to college sports and the broadcasting of these games that we all ought to be thankful for. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lee.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. Congratulations to my school, Binghamton University, national debate champion.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on the Apple Podcasts.